I've made promotion decisions, and I've decided not to promote engineers who are technically stronger than their peers. Promotion is not a reward for intelligence. Not at all. It is a transfer of risk, organizational risk, from one person or from one position to the other. When someone is promoted, when someone is moved to the next level, their mistakes become more expensive because their influence widens. Their decisions travel further than it used to be. Leadership is not promoting your skill. They are promoting how stable you are. Are you stable? That is what leadership is promoting. Let me break this down into 4 parts. Why people are not being promoted. Why smart engineers are not being moved to the next step. First, what blocks promotion? 33 years. I once worked with someone, an engineer, with over 3 decades of experience. 33 years to be specific. That was deep knowledge. That was strong context. That was critical memory for the company. But knowledge was centralized. Everything flowed through him. Documentation lagged. Dependency increased. That is not expertise. That is organizational risk. Such risk, I don't want to carry it over. There was another engineer, over 30 years in the field, technically solid. But when transparency increased in the organization, when we begin to have open reviews, shared visibility, distributed accountability, he resisted. Experience does not override adaptability. I've also seen engineers enjoy being indispensable. Everything depends on them. They control decisions. If the system collapses without you, you are not thinking architecturally. You are centralizing fragility. Promotion is about design stability. Number 2, why does engineers who are so brilliant don't get promoted? Why? Because most engineers, they optimize for output. But as a leader, I evaluate risk. Leadership evaluates risk. High output builds your reputation. Yeah, that's correct. But risk builds your elevation. Years of experience do not compound automatically. No. They compound only if your behavior evolves. Indispensable engineers, they often get capped because organizations cannot scale dependencies. Organizations cannot rely on single engineer. So number 3, what accelerates promotion? Number 1, predictability under pressure. When challenged publicly, do you escalate emotionally? Or you remain calm? You remain structured? Risk reduction, number 2. Does your presence reduce anxiety for people around you? Number 3, are you able to influence beyond execution? Can others defend your thinking without you? Let me pause here. Does this feel uncomfortable? It should. Promotion decisions are structural, not emotional. Distributed capability. If you disappear for 2 weeks, does the system stall? Number 5, are you aligned with the direction of the company? Are you evolving with the organization? Or you are protecting the whole way of work? I once promoted an engineer 3 times in 1 year. That was not normal. It was an outlier, but it wasn't accidental. It took responsibility right before being asked to do. It surfaced risk early. It volunteered when there is ambiguity to clear the ambiguity. It behaved at the next level before being titled at the next level. In that same organization, there were engineers with more tenure, more history, but less readiness. They were not ready. Leadership didn't promote potential. Leadership promotes behavior. They promoted behavior, and they will always promote behavior. So if you are waiting to be promoted before acting differently, you are late. If you are willing to be promoted before leading teams, you are late. So this is where I'm going to. If you are still not promoted, ask yourself, do I reduce risk for the organization? Or I'm actually increasing the risk that the organization carries? Am I stable under scrutiny? Can others rely on my judgment? Does my thinking scale? Would leadership trust me with a crisis? You can be respected. You can be experienced. You can be indispensable and still not be promoted. Promotion is not a reward. It is responsibility. So, if you increase risk, you stall. No promotion. But if you reduce risk, you will rise faster. You will rise quicker. For example, architectural thinking isn't about diagrams. It is about design stability. Leadership at senior levels is system design applied to organizations. If you want to operate at that level, subscribe.